Welcome to C2C Live. I'm hosting today. It's Mike Vallerie giving you guys news and notes from the Senior Bowl day one right after the stinger. All right, guys, thanks for joining me here. Look, day one Mobile. I'm in the Airbnb. The kids' room is the only one that had a desk, so I'm in the kids' room right now. But it's been a great day in Mobile. Day one, practice one, national roster, right? Your quarterbacks are Tyler Show, Dylan Gabriel, and then Taylor. I don't want to butcher it, but the Canadian quarterback there who had an up and down day, wasn't too great there. Dylan Gabriel, first off, going by quarterbacks, actually a precision passer. Like if he didn't see his first read in the middle of the field, he instantly looked to the flats, into the short shallow area, which is kind of what they do at Oregon, which made a lot of sense. But out of all the quarterbacks there, if I had to rank them by accuracy of passes, I'd have to put Dylan Gabriel as probably top two for the day, 100%. So Dylan Gabriel had a fine day. Tyler Show had some fumbles in there. Opp had some fumbles. We'll go more into that too. It's more about chemistry though with the center. So if you want to really talk about fumbles, it's more of a chemistry thing. I'd probably go back to the game film and just say, look, fumbling is not an issue for any of these quarterbacks, probably at all. The running backs, Ollie Gordon looked thick. He looked thick. But what I will say about Ollie Gordon was he's pumping his boys up. He's having a good time out there. He is like the morale guy out there. He is pumping the guys up. So Ollie Gordon definitely has a place in the locker room. Jaquavius Marks had a nice, he showed power. There's always one guy out there. So at the Senior Bowl, you don't hit. They just kind of wrap up. They keep running, run all the way through. Everyone who's been at coaching, who's ever been to a football practice knows what I'm talking about. You just run through, right? You run through these arms. Jaquavius Marks, Woody Marks, actually did lower the helmet and just hit some dude in the chest one day. So it was kind of cool. It was kind of exciting to see that. Donovan Edwards had a great 1v1 rep. I did not get it on film. I have a lot of 1v1 tape on my Twitter. You guys can find it at @FF_DirtyMike. I did miss Edwards' 1v1 that he had. He did win the route. It was a poor throw, so he didn't get the catch in. But the importance is that he did win the route. He kept getting called back, though, when they were doing individual drills for warm-ups, kind of kicking the bag, not picking his knees up high enough. I don't know if it was just laziness or whatever, but they had him go through a drill once or twice more, I believe. So, it's a fine day. It's kind of hard to evaluate running backs in these settings. Like I said, it's not running. These fields are cut in half. They're not doing constant drives, short stuff like that either. So fine day for him. Quint was there. Martinez was there. Tootin was there. I don't have anything bad to say about this running back group. I just wanted to say that they all looked fine. The late minute no-show was Kyle Monunga. He was not there. Cam Scadaboo was also a no-show there. And this was announced way ahead of time, but just to go over it, Will Howard was not there either for the quarterbacks. I believe that would be it for the running backs there. Going on to the wide receivers, late scratch for Savion Williams. He will not be showing up. Alec Aoman, of course, is not showing up. And then I want to say there's one more that's escaping me right now, but I'll hop back to it. If you guys have any questions, by the way, you can just throw them in the chat. This is just a news and notes dump. I'm going to do this every single day, hopefully around the same time. I got to be honest, left practice, went straight to get barbecue. I earned it. I earned that barbecue. I'll tell you that. Wide receivers, Pat Bryant, the second from Illinois. 1v1s are looking okay. He's a possession receiver. He kind of got clamped on a few guys, but he hung with them. It didn't look like he didn't belong. It wasn't like he couldn't win any reps. So he was a fine day. Daquan Felton from Virginia Tech. Yeah, this guy dropped 3 balls when they're just running routes against air. It was kind of wild. A very bad day one for Daquan Felton. This is just the trendsetter. This is just day one, right? So it's not like he's just terrible. This is just day one. But Felton had a bad day one. Couldn't really separate. Kept on having drops against air or even against contested catch targets. So Daquan Felton had a really rough day. Restrepo, I'm just gonna talk about Restrepo and Tez together. They looked as advertised. Tez is very fast, very quick. After I think the first or second rep, DBs were calling him out. DBs were like, no, switch with me. I want to get a shot at Tez Johnson. You started seeing that, and that's kind of how that's where the DBs are saying this guy's good. You got to kind of perk up. So Tez was always trying to take routes pretty deep to start off, and then DBs started getting a little bit scared about giving up the deep routes. So he'd had some pretty easy in-break and cutting routes as well too. So Tez is looking like kind of the menace here as far as the athleticism goes. Restrepo had a ton of extension type grabs, or attempted extension type grabs. Again, there's not chemistry with the QBs, and having the guy from Canada and Tyler Show throwing to him wasn't exactly ideal. But Restrepo was fine. Routes were fine. Again, not really separating through athleticism. Footwork would be there. DBs would kind of close on him. It was really all about timing from the quarterback, which just really wasn't present. So a fine day for Restrepo. Also met his mom, dude. I love Mrs. Restrepo. We hugged. She was so pumped. The whole family was there. Rue McCoy's parents were there too. They're really nice people. But it was cool seeing families like come out there to support their kids. So Restrepo was there. Higgins. Now Higgins. I really want to go into detail with Higgins. Jaden Higgins didn't win every single rep. He got clamped on a few routes. On the other side, though, like he had some great routes. Like he had separation. He had some good extension grabs. He had also one drop between the hands. Just really poor catch because his hands were just way too far apart when right between his hands. It was very not Jaden Higgins like, honestly. It's day one though, and the one takeaway I want to take away from Jaden Higgins is the target shares. He got a ton of targets. Like he was definitely a very big like quarterback friendly player outside of 1v1s. In the 11v11, 7v7s, he was targeted. Jalen Lane and Jalen Noel both kind of looked like the special teamers on this team, right? There wasn't like the best rep from Jalen Noel from Iowa State, and the speed was on display. And again, just to set the scene for you guys, the field is like cut in like thirds. Like they're kind of like starting on the 35-yard line. So it's not like he can have his burners and just tear down deep for 50 yards. Like it's just not set up that way. But he had a nice ball or nice catch, excuse me, throw sideline, right sideline. I know I have the clip posted on Twitter if you guys want to find it. And he made he stopped on a dime, body adjusted outside with the extension to grab it, like a small extension, not a real extension, but it was an awkward catch, but he made it. And I never really expected him to make that. So that was like his one good play for the day. The Virginia Tech guys really kind of just seemed to like fumble around, but big day for Tez, big day for Jaden Higgins, big day for Restrepo. Pat Bryant was okay. Kyle Williams, like again, another kind of like a speed guy. It was 50-50 for him. Like he got some separation on some easy routes, some in-breaking routes, but like there was nothing really special to take away from Kyle Williams. So Pat Bryant, Kyle Williams to me, okay day. I want to see more day two. Like it wasn't a bad day. Let me just see more. Felton and Jalen Lane, Jalen Noel, like they were kind of like more background carries. Would love to see more from them. Let's go to the tight ends. Let me tell you about Elijah Arroyo. Elijah Arroyo is like the busboy at the restaurant that you're short staffed. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, I need you to hop on the grill. And this guy became the head chef. This guy was Gordon Ramsay. I mean, he was absolutely cooking. I mean, tight ends, I'm expecting physicality at the catch point and separating at the catch point. This dude was actually separating with footwork in his route. He didn't even get the separator at catch point. Like he was creating yards of separation from his routes, which was just amazing. Which makes you wonder, like, where is this for Miami the whole time? Like, how are they deploying him? Like now, because I have never cared about Elijah Arroyo, but it was beautiful. I'm crying from how beautiful his routes were. Like he crushed it. He really crushed it. Harold Fannin put on like some weight. It's thick and like it's rough. The memes are hilarious. People are calling him Drewski the way he's running routes. He looked stiff. He looked stiff turning, but like the acceleration is certainly there in a straight line, just like speed. Like he definitely has some acceleration, but maybe the added weight wasn't really good. Maybe he really did play at 220, 225. He's up to 238. He looks stiff. I'm not like out on him. But I'm probably moving down to tight end 5 out of the very popular group that we have here. Terrace Ferguson was really kind of exciting too. He had like 2 or 3 solid routes. The performance put on by Elijah Arroyo was just so much that I don't think anyone wanted to look at any other tight end. So Arroyo had the best day of any tight end of both groups. Terrence Ferguson had a really good day. Harold Fannin was just interesting. He had a bad drop in the middle of the field too. I shared it with our company Slack. I won't be posting it. I couldn't do that to him. Not after all the memes I'm seeing about him. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a break on that one. Gavin Bartholomew and Maliki from UCLA, they definitely moved like blocking tight ends. They didn't move the same way as Arroyo or Ferguson really did. They're definitely stiffer movers. They look like blocking tight ends out there. Neither one of those guys played bad either. So really fine day from the tight ends there. The DBs, since I watched a lot of them, I want to just comment about the DBs here. Quincy Riley from Louisville looked good. I think Louisville really does create good DBs out there. Like Brownlee Jr. last year kind of tore it up, fell to the 5th round, but when I went in person to the game with Austin for the Washington Commanders game versus the Titans, they had Brownlee like covering Calvin Ridley. So it was kind of like Like it's kind of funny having a 5th-round rookie being covering Calvin Ridley. So Quincy Riley, I thought played really well out here. Bilal Cohn had a great rep against Pat Bryant, locked him down. Azariah Thomas, the Florida State DB, he looked good. He wasn't giving up the deep ball. He was playing press. He was very aggressive. Another really aggressive player. I'm talking about like likes to jam players at the line. Dorian Strong from Virginia Tech, very aggressive. I mean, like very good. Like I think he's a clear stock up out of this group. Thomas was already kind of considered a day 2 guy, so I don't know how much more his stock can go up from where it is. But Dorian Strong was a player that I wasn't really seen talked about. Maybe I'm just blind. But Dorian Strong he was pretty good there. Not really much to say about Porter, Darian Porter from Iowa State, or Tommy Hill from Nebraska. The safeties here were kind of fine too. There's really not much to talk about the safeties here. So I'm just going to go on to the American roster, which was the second half of practice 1. Now the quarterbacks, trying to pull it up in my notes on my thing. Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Riley Leonard, and Seth Hennigan. Let me tell you what. I think Riley Leonard has to go the Taysom Hill route at this point. Like those throws were so off base. Same with Jalen Milroe. They're wildly inaccurate. So Dart looked fine. Hennigan was kind of all over the place too. Like Dart looked good in this group because like these guys couldn't throw. So it was very inaccurate. At one point in time, Jalen Milroe had 8 incompletions, which was reported by somebody. I didn't really take note like that, but I could believe it. I could believe it. Jalen Milroe was also the only quarterback to throw a pick in 1v1s. Very impressive to do that. It's like the one guy you don't have to throw the ball to is just on the field, so that was kind of amazing. Going over to the running backs, Rashard Smith had a nice run in 11v11s, hit the hole, hit the sideline. And again, they're wrapping people up, but they didn't even get a full hand on. They got like some fingertips on it, but he beat him with speed around the edge. And you just don't see big plays in these type of settings. So that was so exciting. Trevor Etienne had a good power run up the middle. Devin Neals looked good. Even Marcus Yarns. Actually, all these running backs actually look pretty good. Marcus Yarns even showed some nice juice there. RJ Harvey had a nice 1v1 route, which is, I also tweeted it out too. I cut it out a little bit too early. So he was 1v1ing, I think it was Shamar Turner, which is the linebacker from Texas A&M. And he won on like just a simple out route, like just went up, went out. It was a 3-yard catch. But I cut it off, and right as soon as I cut it off, one of the players from the back was like, "Yep, 2nd and 7." It was so funny. So Neal looked good, Yarns looked good, Harvey looked really good. Jarkus Hunter had a nice angry run up the middle too. Same thing with like Woody Marks, where like you're not supposed to hit, but he lowered the helmet and just definitely decked one of the safeties pretty easy. I think it was the Georgia safety too. So it's a little SEC action there. Wide receivers, Isaac Tesla was up and down, had one good route. It was very, very 50-50. Jamal Pritchett kind of got locked up a little bit too much. Jack Besh from TCU, he got separation. They used him a lot in special teams work, which I didn't really see coming. He looks a lot smaller in person than on TV. Like he's 6'1", and like on TV, I think he's like listed 6'3" at TCU's website, but like he looks 6'1" in person. Like he looks like a regular 6'1" dude in person. He gets some separation. He's won some routes. But like the catch-up speed by DBs was very noticeable. Like he just lacks that top-end gear to like keep it going. So I think he could find a role in an NFL offense. Ty Felton started off terribly. Ty Felton, 3 drops against Air just in the warm-ups, which was really crazy. His first rep, man, what was his first rep against? Was it Brandon Adams? His first rep, he got destroyed. He got absolutely destroyed in his first rep. But then after that, he won his next 2 reps. He had a very easy in-breaking route, like crushed it. And another one where he just kind of smoked the DB. And the DB got yelled at. That one was Brandon Adams. I know that. UCF corner. So bad start, good finish. We'll see how Ty Felton picks up the next day. Arian Smith, he dropped a deep ball. You just know he did. He did. It was terrible. It was like everyone's making jokes. In interviews, I heard he's a really nice guy too. So I wouldn't give him a hard time in person. Brew McCoy looked to be operating a lot in like shorter area routes, which was interesting. He looked fine. His parents were great, really nice people. He looked fine. Jalen Royal, same thing. A lot of these, like the DBs or the wide receivers in this group were much weaker than the first group. And a lot of them were getting kind of clamped down early. Not only that, but the throws from Milroe, Leonard, even Seth Hennigan, like it's not great. also with Royals too, the athleticism really wasn't on display, right? Like we talk about Jalen Royals as being like a super athlete. We expect him to be an insane tester. I believe he's 5'10", 210. Um, I didn't see the athleticism on like the high end. Again, these guys like they look fine. They didn't win all the routes. They won some. So a very like bland day from this wide receiver group. It's really hard to say who stood out. I feel like I don't want to give like a biased answer because Jack Besh intrigues me the most. I think Jack Besh played better than he was supposed to, but there's no serious like there's no one on this roster that I look at and I'm like, yeah, this is an NFL team's future wide receiver one. Like a lot of these guys feel like twos or threes, maybe, but really they're kind of like rotational pieces. On the tight ends, Jake Billings School had some good routes. CJ Dupree really couldn't separate. Thomas Fedone just looks really trim. I don't know. His pads look a little too big for him, but Thomas Fedone looked good. Mason Taylor looked great. Like he looked great, like doing some routes, pushing guys off him. Dudes are like trying to drag and foul him. He's just unfazed. He's finishing his routes and getting open. So Mason Taylor was the big winner for me in this group, and then Jackson Hawes, blocking tight end, kind of moved like a blocking tight end. So of this group, I would say Mason Taylor and Jake Billingstore are for sure like the top two tight ends in this team. And then Dupree and Hawes, I think it's Hawes. I think you can kind of just forget about them. And then we'll see more what Fedone got the next day. I want to touch on the DBs real quick, and I'll get to Andy. I'll get to your question after this. It was a really good DB class. Maxwell Harrison was really trying to be aggressive, kind of like Dorian Strong was, but not as successful. So I really was looking at that. Trey Amos is a great DB. He looked really good. Melvin Smith Jr. from South Arkansas. Had two reps where I think he actually destroyed Isaac Tesla, and I think he also like locked up Jalen Royals. Like he was kind of fun. Like I think he actually is making some money. Usually like these small school guys that you feel like are like they're just kind of like brought in as like, oh, you're the token small school guy, like you're just here to represent small schools. He looks like he could hang 100%. Like he looks legit. I think that's really exciting. Jacob Parrish had a lot of extra coaching, like some good routes, some bad stuff, but he kind of like lacked that closing speed. Like I think it was Mason Taylor kind of like got a push off instead of his route, and Parrish just couldn't catch up to him. Let me think. The safeties were pretty good here. Dante Trader was getting some good reps against CJ Dupree because they're both Maryland. They're both Maryland, and they both came from the same recruiting class. CJ Dupree transferred from Maryland to Alabama. So I know a lot of accounts are having fun commenting and watching Trader versus CJ Dupree because it's the first time they've done that in a couple of years. Billy Bowman had one great route. Hunter Wohler, I've seen as like a top 10 safety. I think he might have had like the worst day out of the safety group. Just day one, we'll see. But like I feel like he got beat every single time he was up. Yeah. Andy's question though, real quick. I did touch on Pat Bryant. I thought Pat Bryant had a up and down day. He got locked up a few times. Rouse looks fine too. Like it's just day one. He didn't get like cooked too often, and he had some wins himself there too. So I thought it was like a really split 50-50. You can look at it and be like, not a bad day, not the best day. We'll go into day two. We'll see how he does day two and see if he can like build up momentum from day one. But again, like I have a ton of clips on Twitter. You guys can find them at ff_dirty Mike. Just look up my Twitter username. Just click my profile, click the little like magnifying glass button, type in the player name, and then you'll find those clips there. I think there should be like 2 or 3 per wide receiver. If the wide receiver got cooked, I did not put their name on it, and I just hyped up the DB. So I try not to like try not to do that to them. To talk about some of the linemen though, this is a very, very strong D line and edge group. It's not so strong in the offensive line. So the second practice, the American practice with Jalen Milroe, Riley Leonard, that was definitely a stronger D-line group. You had Deion Walker from Kentucky. He was projected first rounder preseason, dropped to third. I think after today, they're going to be putting him back up in like top 50 picks. He was kind of being a menace. They were just destroying class in the pocket on Milroe. Like Milroe couldn't even escape the pocket. Sometimes Seth Hennigan and Riley Leonard would just take off just because there's no one getting open downfield. So it was the second half of the day, the American practice, it was just really all defense. Defense was just cooking the whole time. The edges were cooking. It was kind of wild. So the edge from Marshall, yeah, that guy's a first rounder. I mean, he's destroying people. One second, folks. Let me just get these notes back up. Derek Harmon, he looks really good too. I think he's a top 50 pick as well. I really wanted more out of the Boston College kid, Millam. Didn't really see much there. The interior linemen from LSU, like I think Ryan Frazier is one of them. I can't remember the other two. They looked okay. Like they didn't look that great. So again, this is a really strong D line and edge group, and it just really sucks that the American team can't get the offense rolling because it's really strong defensive group they have to go up against. I believe that's all of my notes now from the practices today. Let me just go back through real quick. We talked about Jackson Dart, fine day. Milrow, Leonard looked really rough passing. Seth Hennigan looked kind of rough passing. All the running backs look good from this team. Brashard Smith, Trevor Etienne, Neal, Marcus Yarns actually look really good too. RJ Harvey, Jarvis Hunter, they all had fine days. Yeah, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for day one. If you guys have any other questions, you got to say them now. You got to say them now. If not, though, I really do appreciate it. I'll be back here tomorrow. I'll be back here. I might not be back here Thursday, but I'll definitely be back here tomorrow. Then I'll get you guys something, maybe even late Thursday night if I have to. But I'll be here every single day. Thank you guys for joining me. Once again, follow me for all those clips. I post them up immediately at FF_Dirty Mike. Go ahead and check them out now. There's some funny Drewski memes with Harold Fannin. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.